How's it going, boys? Johnny Superbman here, and it's time for some more questions with Superbman. That's right. Now, originally, I wanted to get this questions with Superbman out on Sunday because in this one, I want to cover the Toronto Maple Leafs versus Montreal Canadiens game. It was a crazy one. It was a barn burner. Grabowski's bite on Pacioretty I want to talk about. And just in general, I want to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs because I do have a lot to say. I want to get more questions with Superbman up like once a week. I know I keep saying that. I'm going to try and do my best. So in the comments, I know you guys have plenty of questions about other teams. Go nuts. But in this Questions with Superbman, I really just want to talk about that game because there's so much to talk about. And, you know, I know there's a lot of Leaf fans out there who watch my channel. So I actually have some good news about the Toronto Maple Leafs and, you know, like trade-wise kind of thing because we have one too many forwards right now. But we'll get into that after. I want to talk about the Toronto versus Montreal game. So if anyone didn't watch it, it was on February 9th, 2013. It was last Saturday, hockey day in Canada. All right. If you didn't watch the game or you didn't see the highlights, I don't think you could find it anywhere now. Maybe go to YouTube and go to search in like Leafs versus Canadiens. February 9th, 2013 highlights. You might be able to find it somewhere. Try to find one that's like 20 minutes long. Really get every single highlight, not just like a quick minute package of all the highlights. You know, really watch them all. Because it was an amazing game. I mean, I'm loving watching the Maple Leafs this year. I'm not expecting them to do good. I'm expecting them to not make the playoffs. Even though we've won 4 in a row, I still expect them to not make the playoffs, all right? But still, just watching what we're doing out there now, you know, grittier, tougher, fighting everywhere. We have so many fighters on our team now. I love it. And my goodness gracious, the Montreal Canadiens had no answer for us on Hockey Day in Canada, all right? So I got to start off by saying this. I know there's going to be a lot of Hab fans out there that say, oh, he's just a Toronto Maple Leaf biased fan. He always sees everything in his favor. I'm going to do my best right here to be unbiased, all right? I don't want to be that one of those fans that just thinks that everything that happens against us is bullshit and our team is the best. I don't want to be like that, all right? So any Hab fans out there, if you're listening, I'm not going to be biased, but you need to not be biased as well, okay? Because if we're biased, we're not going to get anywhere here. So let's not be biased. Let's assess the game. So it was 6-0. We freaking dominated them, all right? I loved watching it. It seems to me, you know, Montreal, it goes back to what I've said this now for the last few years. You're just way too small, all right? Can you guys make the playoffs this year? Yes, absolutely. I think you could make the playoffs. But then again, what's going to happen when you get in the playoffs? You're going to run up against a team that is tougher, that is bigger, and they're just going to run through you, okay? And every time I've come up with, I haven't really called Montreal's forwards the smallest because they do have big guys up front like Eric Cole, Pacioretty, Lars Eller even has some size to him. So I'm not saying up front, but defensively, you have no size. And every time I say that, people come back with saying, oh, Alexei Yemlin is 6'2" or 6'3". He's a young defender that we're pushing. Did anyone watch that game when 6 foot, 188-pound Nazem Kadri destroyed Emlyn? You don't get to call yourself a big defenseman if Nazem Kadri is destroying you, okay? And it wasn't a bad check, all right? Anyone that thinks that was a board or whatever, no. He hit his chest, elbows in. It wasn't like 2 feet away from the boards. He hit the ice before he hit the boards, all right? It wasn't boarding, wasn't interference, wasn't charging. He just straight up Gary Roberts him, all right? So, again, you can have one defenseman who's 6'2", but it's not just about your size, it's about how you use that size. Are you good on your feet? Are you good with balance? And can you absorb a body check from a 6 foot, 188 overall, or not 8 overall, 188-pound player, all right? It was so great when I saw Nazem Kadri destroy Yemlin, because I was just like, yep, no size, all right? But again, I watched all the highlights back of the game, and I really want to go through it like in chronological order here, all right? Because I made some notes. So, okay, so hang on a sec. So, yeah, we dominated. I don't think there's any Hab fan out there will say, well, they got lucky that game. On that night, I'm not going to say that the Toronto Maple Leafs are better than the Montreal Canadiens, all right? That's a very sweeping statement. But I will say, on that night, last Saturday, we were much better than you guys. On that night, okay? We're just a lot bigger. We're very fast. And it goes back to, you know, last year and the year before. If the Toronto Maple Leafs can get good goaltending, we're actually a pretty good team. It's just the fact that we always seem to allow that first goal or we give up that quick lead because of shitty goaltending. But when Reimer's playing like a starter, we're actually a very good team, especially now with Randy Carlyle and our defensive systems. We're a lot better defensively. So, you know, if we get that good goalie, we're okay. And on Saturday night, Reimer was on fire. He really was. And it didn't help that Komarov got his first NHL goal. I think it it was like 30 seconds or a minute into the game. That never helps your team. It totally takes all the energy out of your crowd, all that good stuff, all right? But, yeah, as the game went on, Kadri destroyed Yemlin. I'm not going to talk about the goals. Goals can happen anytime. But then, you know, you got your one tough guy that you got from the Rangers, Brendan Prust, right? I admit it, he's a tough guy. He's a tough cookie. But other than Brendan Prust, who do you have that's tough? All right? In the first period, or maybe it was the second period, Prust got in the fight, as he's supposed to do. He fought against Frazier, our new defenseman who's come in. And, like, I'm not going to say Frazier won the fight, because there wasn't a TKO, there wasn't a takedown. But Frazier definitely landed more and heavier punches. He's bigger. He was taller than Prust. He had the reach. All right? Prust didn't fall down. He put up a great fight. It was a great battle. The refs came in and broke it up. But still, our guy, our one defenseman, dealt with your tough guy. Didn't win, but he took him out of the game. And all of a sudden, Prust is now in the box for 5 minutes. And who else now do you have out there that's gritty, that's tough, that can stick up for your players, all right? Because, I mean, there was a lot of fights that night. Koska dealt with Gallagher, all right? Who else got dealt with? McLaren dealt with Georges. Colton Orr dealt with Rene Bourque, all right? We dealt with you guys everywhere. It was awesome. Now, hang on a sec. Let me go down the list here. Yeah. All right. So just little things like Colton Orr. Did you see when Colton Orr got an assist? He made PK Subban look like a rookie. PK Subban was like pinching, I guess. Colton Orr got behind him. He chipped it up the boards to Colton Orr. He went in on like a 2-on-1, backhanded it low on the net, just did a simple thing. Rebound, Corbanian Holzer, goal. All right. Freaking Colton Orr getting behind PK Subban. That is embarrassing, PK Subban. All right. Colton Orr. The reason he didn't play last year is because he was too slow apparently, and he's getting behind your best defenseman. That should never be happening, okay? So, Colton Orr making Subban look like a rookie. Just absolutely horrible. Gallagher, I know Gallagher for you guys is a young gun. He tried to, you know, put up a little bit of a tough wall there, but Koska came in, and Koska's a lot bigger, you know, he's a lot older, so I'm glad that it wasn't like a full-on fight. It was more of a brawl, like a takedown brawl, you know what I mean? Because it doesn't seem like they were both fighters, but Koska dealt with them, but full marks for Gallagher getting in there and stepping up as like a young kid, you know what I mean? Good for him. But again, we dealt with him. All right, and then, you know, in the third period, this is when all the drama happened, all right? This is when the Grabovski biting incident happened. Now, I want to state this right now because, again, I'm going to show you I'm unbiased. If Grabovski honestly did bite Pacioretty, he should be suspended for at least one game. Absolutely. There is no room for no room for biting in the NHL. So I'm not going to sit here and say, well, Grabovski, you know, he might have been suffocated by his forearm, all this stuff that I've seen out there. I'm not going to say that at all right? Fact is, if he bit Pacioretty, then he deserves to be suspended. Now, he didn't get suspended. The league said that there was not inconclusive or conclusive evidence to show it. I don't care if Pacioretty had bite marks on his forearm, right? That's not conclusive evidence. It's video evidence. It's black and white. The rules are simple. You need to see video evidence to be able to suspend somebody. And all I saw in that was Pacioretty's forearm right across the face of Grabovski, all right? It did look like the possibility of him biting probably did happen, all right? I'm not saying that he didn't do it, but again, video evidence, it wasn't 100% that he did. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter if it's 99% that it did. It wasn't 100% that he bit him, so he got off. But again, I'm not condoning it. But you know what? That whole biting incident, why did that all happen? I go back and I blame Brendan Prust, all right? This is how it all happened. 5-0 game in the third period with 8 minutes left. You're not going to get 5 goals in 8 minutes, Montreal. I'm sorry, all right? Leo Komarov takes a shot. Carey Price makes a save. The play is stopped. Komarov is skating around the net, not doing anything, just trying to get away. And Brendan Prust is all up in his face, trying to get a fight going, you know what I mean? He won't let him go. Komarov is clearly just skating away from Prust. He's not even looking at him. He's not shit-talking. He's clearly going for a line change. But Prust has got him, you know, he's got a hand on him. He won't let him go. He clearly wants to do something, all right? Grabovski then comes over. He doesn't try to grab Prust. He just comes over to say, what the fuck are you doing, all right? And Prust sucker punches Grabovski. Now, it wasn't a crazy sucker punch, but he initiated the fighting with Grabovski. You could tell he was trying to get something going. He went after Komarov. Komarov wasn't doing anything. Grabovski came over to say, what the hell are you doing? He punched freaking Grabovski with his glove on. He didn't knock Grabovski out. It wasn't like a sucker punch, like, you know what I mean? But he did initiate initiate it, all right? And then Grabovski grabs, he grabs Prust, and then Pacioretty comes in as the third man in from behind, all right? It was between Grabovski and Prust at that time. Pacioretty, the third man in, comes from behind Grabovski, puts his forearm, wraps his whole arm around Grabovski's face. His forearm is right in his mouth. I've seen comments saying that, oh man, Grabovski might have been suffocating. And Jesus, if you look at the replay, I mean, I'm not going to say that he was, but it looked like it could have been. His whole forearm was across his mouth and his nose. I mean, do your own experiment right now. Put your forearm up against your nose and your mouth. If you have a big enough forearm, you can block your damn nose and your mouth. You can't get any air in there. Again, I'm not using excuses for him. But Pacioretty, what do you expect is going to happen when you put your bare freaking forearm across somebody's mouth, all right? You could have grabbed him by the shirt. You could have grabbed him by the arms. You could have grabbed him by the neck in the shirt, you know what I mean? You could have done something else. But what do? You put him in a freaking sleeper hold, basically, all right? You had it coming. You don't want to get bit. Don't put anything near a guy's mouth. It's as simple as that, right? So the way I look at it is it's a 5-0 game. Prust was the shit disturber right there. And the new Leafs makeup is, if you're going to start shit, we're going to finish it. And that's what we did. The end of the game when Prust got kicked out, my goodness gracious, it was not fun for the Montreal Canadiens, all right? And it all started by Colton Orr's run at Thomas Plekanec in the middle of the ice. Now, I'll say this right now, Colton Orr, you should not have taken that run at Plekanec. He did not get suspended because he did not make contact, but it did look like it was going to be a knee-on-knee. So again, Colton Orr, that was not cool, but he did not hit him, so what are you going to say? Hindsight, right? But that whole part afterwards, I keep hearing Montreal fans saying that Colton Orr sucker punched Rene Bourque after that whole thing. You know, if you were watching it live, it did look like that. But go back and watch the highlights. What happened was, Colton Orr took the run at Plekanec, right? Missed him. Then Brian Gionta, of all people, gets up and grabs Colton Orr because of it, all right? Brian Gionta, the captain, like the smallest guy on your team, is stepping up against our toughest guy, Colton Orr. He didn't try to fight him. He hugged him from the front, you know what I mean? Grabbed him kind of thing. He didn't want to get in a tussle with Colton Orr. As he's grabbing him, then the third man in, once again, it seems to be the thing for the Montreal Canadiens. The third man in, Rene Bourque, grabs Colton Orr from behind. As he does that, Gionta falls off, or kind of like turns around, gets Bourque off of him, and as he gets him off of him, then he retaliates with a punch. That's not a sucker punch. He punched the guy who was third man in after getting loose, all right? You've already initiated a fight, Rene Bourque, when you do shit like that. I'm sorry. Gionta did the right thing, going up and grabbing him in the front, letting him know, I'm right here, I'm grabbing you, I don't necessarily want to fight, but, that wasn't cool what you did. Rene Bourque, I know what Rene Bourque's thinking. That's my captain. That's Gionta. That's Colton Orr. I can't allow that to happen. All right? But if you're going to do that, you can't call it a sucker punch when the guy turns around and knocks you on your ass. I'm sorry. That's not a sucker punch, all right? So I stick by Colton Orr when he did that. The run at Plekanec was not cool, but the sucker punch was not a sucker punch. He was defending himself against the third man in, all right? And then you see Fraser McLaren playing with Josh Georges. It was hilarious. It was good for Fraser McLaren. He could have killed Josh Georges. And good for Josh Georges as well. That guy, man, he's got a big heart. He didn't care. He wasn't afraid at all. He went straight up, and he didn't just try to grab on him. He was throwing punches. And if you watch the referees, they were coming over trying to tell McLaren, hey, listen, man, this guy, you're going to kill this guy. Go easy on him. If you watch the fight back, the refs were looking for any chance to come in and stop it. It wasn't like two tough guys going where the refs just let them go. The refs were like, okay, don't hurt him. And I swear, McLaren was like, okay, don't worry, I won't do anything to him. And he was just laughing at him. He was holding him at bay and laughing at him. Now, George just kept on trying to punch through it, so McLaren, he's not just going to stand there and take it. But, just dominated Montreal fans. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry because I loved it. But on Saturday, on Hockey Day in Canada, that is so embarrassing. Jesus Christ, too, because the two rivalries go so far back. Hockey Day in Canada, everyone's watching the game in your own building, 6-0, and dominated. And I hear a lot of fans coming out of that game saying, "Oh, Grabovski biting." That's the only thing they come out of it. Well, I just want to say this, Montreal. It was a 5-0 game in the third period before Grabovski bit Pacioretty, all right? So what happened in the first two periods. It seems like everyone forgot about that. Montreal, I'll say it again. I've said it before, I say it again. You got to get bigger. You got to get tougher. I still think that the Toronto Maple Leafs are not a playoff team. All right, I know we're on a good run right now, but we can easily lose 10 games in a row, especially with James Reimer getting injured, okay? But if you're getting dominated by us, and I don't think we're a playoff team, what's going to happen if you do make the playoffs and you run up against the New York Rangers or a Philadelphia Flyers or New Jersey Devils? You're going to get dominated. You got to get bigger. I'm sorry, all right? I said it before, I'll say it again. You've got to get bigger. So the first two games this season between Montreal and Toronto, woo, 2-0, baby. Take that, Montreal. So I hope I've done my best to prove that I am not biased in this. I know this is going to see Montreal fans just going nuts on the things that I've said, but what are you going to do, all right? So there you go. I wanted to talk a little bit more about the Toronto Maple Leaf forward situation, but I think I'll save that for next time because I don't have much footage left on this game, all right? So there's my opinions about the game. Again, if you didn't see the game, watch the highlights. Go on YouTube, look up Leafs versus Canadiens highlights from February 9th, 2013, and give me your honest opinion about the game. Give me your honest opinion about Grabovski and Pacioretty and Colton Orr, because those seem to be the hot topics coming out of it. But then again, we're a few days after that game and no suspensions. So video evidence obviously proved that the Leafs didn't do anything wrong, all right? So there you go, boys. Again, I'm going to try and do more questions with Superbman, trying to do it weekly. Let me know if you guys want me to talk about your NHL team. I'll do some research, I'll watch some highlights, and I'll give you my opinions. All right, boys, so there you go. I will see you next time.